There's one of our volunteers here. If you are a candidate and you do not have a name tag, put your hand up and it will come to you. About the draw, yes, we have some awesome exercise vouchers. One entry per person. And Linda again is going to come around to each table while you are deliberating to make sure everyone has a chance to put their name in the draw. Should be some volunteers in there? Awesome. Second chairs coming out guys. Sorry to those who are standing at the back. Lovely. Just to let you know, we did not anticipate such a big number. Thank you. Thank you. ONEPOTO. Miss Alva, big round of applause. Okay, that was really good.
Manola, I am Margarita, and this is Shane, and we will be guiding you through tonight. We're going to do it very differently because we believe in people's voice. So we really want to work with our community to work out what questions that we would like to ask our candidates. I just noticed that it took a little while for Taylor to get attention. So I just want to use this in celebrating Te Wiki Reo Māori. When I want your attention, I'm going to say Tihe, and you're going to say Mayoral. Okay? So when we are wanting your attention, I'm going to say Tihe, and what are you? Kāpai. Tihe? Kāpai. So to begin tonight, I'm going to ask Dr. Taku to bless our night tonight.
Kia ora tātou, taloha lava, malore lei, Lisa Molowanaka, kia ora katoa, taloha ni, ka mastei, ni hana suru mau. E nei o ngā reo kainga, e nei o ngā reo ka āpuri, kia porirua me ki, ko tāna i te marea, mai tā wahaki, e nohota iai rātou, ki roto ki a rātou te kāwhine. Urena tēnā poto katoa. Hara mai rā me ki te pōnei, no tahi ai tātou riki, ka putana tō koutou nei whakaama, ka putana tō tātou nei hihiatanga, no reira tēnā koutou. Kei a koutou ngā kai whakarite e mihi ana ki a koutou katoa. No reira, a muri ake tō tātou nei karakia, e tuake tātou riki kei te waiata te aloha, a muri ake te rā kei tonu kei whee. Kei whia korauta, ana, me ki hei tau ki a whakatūwherata. Te aroha, te
Kia tūturo, te ka maua ki ati ngā. Ina.
So we have a first aid kit here at the front desk if anyone needs it. The toilets are, as you come in the door, both sides of the kitchen. If there is a fire, the doors will openable, go out the doors, and we will assembly down just on the footpath by the roundabout. If there is an earthquake, we know what to do. We stay, we hold, stay here. So something else? Toilets, first aid, okay. Alright, so, it's so lovely to see everyone come out on a blustery night like this. So, we are going to look at the timetable. So, I'm sorry. So for
good evening, everyone. So this part of the evening, we'll make it really quick. It's an introduction of the candidates we have here with us this evening. So we have 16 candidates in total here, covering the Mayoralty, PARIRUA Māori Ward, ONEPOTO Ward, and also Greater Wellington Regional Council. So I'm going to start just with introduction those in the PARIRUA Māori Ward. What I'd like you to do is just stand up, have a quick wave. People can make the comparison between your ward and what you really look like, and then what we can do is move on from there. So, first person this evening, Ranera Albert. Ranera's running as an independent. There's Jess Tehuia. Running as an independent, and Rawunia Rimini. Those are our candidates for the PARIRUA Māori Ward. For Mayor, we have Ura Wilson Koati. As well as running for Mayor, Ura is also running in the ONEPOTO Ward. Kathleen Philo. As with Ura, Kathleen's also running in the ONEPOTO Ward and a current ward councillor. And then for the ONEPOTO Ward, we have Yin Zhang. Byways Mayoral Thriving Communities, Hemi Fernandez. Real Change, Angel Domingos. Jason Finau. Mike Duncan. Mike is a current councillor. Siobhan Samuel. Zach Painting. Secretary of the Green Party, Jeff Haywood. Jeff is a current ward councillor. For Greater Wellington Regional Council, we've got 4 candidates here this evening. Daniel Hicks. Claire Johnston. Phil Rose. And Hikitia Robata. Right, so now that's the round of introductions done. Margarita's now going to take us through the process.
So the first part of this process, we at your tables would like you to discuss this question, which is what do you want your council representatives to do for you and your family and community? In your table, discuss that, and then from there, in your table, tables, in your groups, come up with 2 questions that you all agree on that you want to ask your candidates. Yeah? So, and you will choose a spokesperson from your table, and there is paper on your table so you can write your questions down. And we've got 10 minutes to do that. Can't wait? No.
3 minutes. Cool, thanks everyone. Wrap it up. Wrap up your questions. Now, just what we're going to do, Margarita and I are going to move around the table, we'll give you the mic, and each table nominate a spokesperson, and you can ask your 2 questions, and we'll get all the questions out, and then we'll move to the next phase of the meeting. Announcements. One, I want to acknowledge the hosts for this evening, which is Rescue Action, Creeksiders, and we've also got a live stream, so as well as the people in the room, this is going out over Facebook, so I want to acknowledge Te Mana and also Samoan Capital Radio. So we do have people online. And Carl over here, he's monitoring the online, and he'll have some questions from tables. I'm going to start down the back, and my leader's going to help us. This table here, Judicial Spokesperson. Former Deputy Mayor Liz Kelly. Okay, the two questions.
Our two questions are, what will you do to stop the current trend of our young people moving to live in to buy affordable homes and our elderly moving to carpeting to retire? And question two, what will you do to strengthen cultural diversity that reflects our city and upholds tenability?
Excellent. Now, as candidates, what we want you to do is actually take note of these, because when you'll be speaking, it'll be on these questions that have been developed from the table. Margarita.
First question is, are you in support of the library at the creek, of rebuilding it ASAP, because it's been closed for a while? And the second, the second one is, what are you going to do for our kids in 10 years' time?
Here down the front is recording the questions as best you can, so use a loud voice. Spokesperson here.
Hello. Our questions are, how can we stabilise rate increases? And the second question is, it's about long-winded, what steps will you take to implement the recommendations of the Climate Assembly or to minimise the impact of climate change? What are you doing? Over here.
Good evening, everyone. Our first question is, how can you improve consultation with ratepayers in a meaningful way? And our second question is like the question on the back. What are you going to do for our youth? Thank you.
Got one really good question. How do you balance the tension between the need for good housing while minimising environmental impacts and the population growth? And the other one we're kind of bringing on, figured out here, is just kind of where the candidates put that balance between the need to bring money in through rates and money going out.
This table?
How do we get better bus services in PORIRUA, including shelters that need better lighting for particularly for safety of women and older people, better ability for people with disability to use bus services, and how do we get better footpaths for people with wheelchairs and older people when they want to access bus services at bus stops?
Good questions coming from the floor.
Kia ora koutou, kia ora tālu whananga. Our table has come up with some common themes that have already been raised, but the two questions we have is, how would you look at providing more community centres like the Wellington City Council does in their suburbs? So they have the Johnsonville, for example, community centre. What would you as a candidate do to develop that as an initiative? And the second question is relating to transparency around rates and financials. What would you do as a candidate around building equity or growth within our city so that we can offset that against the high rates? And there was just 1.5 to weave in there, so this is one question. Roles and responsibilities of our management within council. Specifically the role of the CEO. You know, what are the KPIs there? You know, it's really come from our table around the fact that this is civic leadership, but this is not a dictatorship, it's having stewardship. And yeah, we really want to understand how would you as a candidate make sure that that's balanced so that people's voices are heard. Sorry.
Kia ora everyone. I got told that I had to do this anyway. The first question was, what can council do to address rates increases that continue to put pressure on residents and have a flow-on effect on pushing the long-term communities out of PORIRUA due to gentrification? And then the second question was, what would you do to address the concerns of the disabled people to make PORIRUA city accessible and as a byproduct the impacts that it has on homelessness for disabled peoples?
Can I just make a note, please, to just speak clearly and slowly, because Kenna is having trouble writing your questions out. Thank you.
Kia ora, our group has spoken about some of our issues, ours about infrastructure and the borders. Every time we get flooded, with Old Cannons Creek, it's still flooded. If they're building a new thing down there, that is not for our area, it's for another area. So I would like something done about that. Also our rubbish bins, I'm sick of the contractors. The cost of buying a bag is $5 now. We work that out for a year, $2.5 grand. It's $2.5 grand that we have to spend to satisfy the council. So I'd like the council to do something like that, Albert. Kia ora.
Kia ora whānau, tāra whanawa. I'm the youngest in the table, that's why I've been called on top. The learnings from Auckland City was both positive and negative. Where do you stand? And please give examples that is live and viral to PORIRUA, not to other cities. Secondly is about emergency preparedness. A few years ago, it snowed in PORIRUA for the first time. A few weeks ago, we had a massive lightning strike. It's only a matter of time. We all know it. So the question is, what will you do to prepare our 57,000, correct me if I'm wrong, PORIRUA people when a massive earthquake hits? Now, we all know about the fault lines, we all know, and there's a lot of talk, but there's not enough understanding of what you're actually going to do out there. So this is both regional and local. There's a lot of other questions, but I've been told to leave on the top. Thank you.
So I wanted to know what you would do for about affordable housing, especially for our disabled residents and our whānau, making sure that they have enough space for children to play. And what would you do to improve community infrastructure such as parks, community gardens, playgrounds, where health can be fostered?
Kia ora tātou. You have all stolen my pātai, but that's all right. In particular, the flooding and pipes issue. On my given the other week, we had a huge shutdown and very little communication. So transparency is really, really important, as well as fixing the issues and going to the heart of the issue. So what will you do about that? I'm not sure what I'm doing. Sorry. And to your pātai as well, I'm just going to riff off that. Sorry, my daughter's looking at me. I, as a waihi, struggle to walk down the street at night, and I need to walk my dog for her safety at night. So she has a very good house, and I do not feel safe walking down the street. And I would love more lighting and more accessibility for those kinds of activities without having to pay for it. So that would be lovely. And the community parks. There's a lot of tamariki that are driving around doing lots of loud biking and stuff, and love that for them, but it's quite loud, and would love to have spaces for them that are positive and fun enhancing for them to be able to have fun with their friends without necessarily creating disturbance for the whole community. Kia ora.
That is awesome, folks. Well done. Really impressive. And we're going to get you back in no time. So we're just going to hand it over to our friends at Samoa back in the radio. I'll ask Carl, we've got a big number of people who are live streaming, and we owe it to them to make sure their voices are heard. So, Carl? No questions? Okay, thank you. As long as they know we are thinking of them.
So well done everyone. 24 questions around the table. Give yourself a hand. Now comes the fun part of the evening. Our candidates get to respond. So what we'll do, we're going to move in the same order that we did the introductions. So we'll talk to the candidates, the three candidates from the PARIRUA board, starting with Renera Albert. You have 3 minutes. Our timekeepers will keep it pretty sharp. Come up to the front. Our timekeeper will keep it pretty sharp. We've got 16 candidates to get through. So, but we do want to give you enough time to put your pitch. So, now, first candidate. Kia ora tātou. 24 questions is quite a lot to answer in 2 minutes, so I'm going to keep it to just a couple of points and some really fantastic questions that you have all asked. And some that are really, really important around, particularly around rates and roles and responsibilities of council. So one of the questions that I did pick up on was, what are you going to do to grow our assets in PORIRUA so that as ratepayers you're not continuously paying extra or more rates every single year. One of the things that I instantly thought about was utilising the assets that we actually, the current assets that we do have in PORIRUA. The beauty of PORIRUA is that we are a city that holds a lot of tourist attractions that actually aren't even utilised. What I mean by that is we have the factory, the chocolate factory, Whittaker's Chocolate Factory. Why aren't we utilising stuff like that that can bring money in from outside of the city and spend that into the mahi, the touristic stuff, the tourist stuff for our city, so that the money that is made from there can be spent on you as us as citizens of PORIRUA. That way, we're not having to pay for things that we're not getting. 30 seconds. That way, we are getting the best bang for our buck when it comes to our rates and for the infrastructure. When we look at building our infrastructure properly, then that way our ratepayers get the best deal for what we're actually paying for. Kia ora. Kia ora. Thanks, Amira. Really well to kick off our sort of questions. So you'll get a 30-second warning from Linda over there, who's keeping our time, and that'll give you 30 seconds for a big roundup. So our next candidate from the PARIRUA Māori Award, Jester Huia.
One thing that for me that comes to mind, there's too many questions to answer, but to ensure that TTT guides every decision made at the council table, that we are ensuring partnership, participation and protection, actually transparency, so our people need to have a voice, right? Because for too long decisions have been made about us without us. So ensuring that we are consulting with our people in actual authentic consultation. I'm not sure how that looks, but I work on the ground with our people every day and I hear all the issues that we face, and it's our role to come up with solutions that fit the needs of our people. Unaffordability is a huge one. You know, we've got our kaumātua being driven out of their whare due to not being able to afford the rates. And so going through the budgets and going through all the money that's spent and ensuring that the money is being spent in a way that supports our communities and supports our farming. Yeah, I don't know if I can speak for 3 minutes on all of that, but ensuring that people are at the heart of every decision that we make and making sure that we're talking to our people to find out what they want, to find out what the needs of our community are, and pushing those onto the council table and making sure that all our voices are heard. Kia ora.
Our last candidate for the PARIRUA Māori Board, Romania Remedy.
I'm just sitting over here makes me really sad. It makes me sad that we still have these issues ongoing and council still hasn't done anything about it. I'm here for the people. I'm passionate about people. I'm passionate about rangatahi Māori, about Pākehē Māori. I'm here because I want to see tangata Māori be uplifted, to thrive, not just to buy, to have affordable housing, more social housing, or better social housing. I want to see less homelessness. And I'm not just here as a candidate, I'm here as a community member. And I'm only standing because I feel like our voices aren't being heard. I worry about our rangatahi. I'm raising my kids here in PORIRUA. What's going to happen for them in the future? And they're my inspiration for being here. Because if I can't be part of how a PORIRUA is shaped for them and their future, then I can't guarantee that they're going to be okay. So I come from a tiriti-led and mokopuna-focused perspective. I hear you, youth centres, what's happening with our youth. I come from a business background and I really do believe that if we can invest in more assets and income generating assets and utilise our Pākehē Māori, we have so much innovative people here in PORIRUA. There's so many beautiful and amazing ideas, but there's not enough backing for them. There's not enough funding for them. There's not enough support for them. We've got businesses closing down because they just can't manage this economy right now. So what's happening? And so I want to hold our current council to accountability to actually answer these questions for the people, because I want to hear them too. But that's why I'm standing. And that's all I have to say.
So now we just move into the next area, which is those that are standing for mayor, and both candidates are also running for the ONEPOTO board. So we'll start with Ora Wilson Kuwari.
Kia ora ana koutou katoa, tēnā koutou, talofa lava, malolele, mi samoa manaka, assalamu alaikum, and warm Pacifica greetings to PORIRUA. I made some notes and I just want to talk straight from those notes because a number of questions here, it's a lot, somebody mentioned to answer. So to begin with, we talked about youth and we talked about the elderly. One thing I would do for youth is I'd advocate to actually ensure that we have a youth council brought back onto the city council. Also, I think we could also have an elderly council as well too. Your voices matter. I'm on about people, I'm on about partnerships. And without people, they come first. Te ate me nui o te au, ko tangata, it's a tangata, it's a tangata. Nā Aotearoa, nā Aotearoa ka ora te tangata. With your basket of knowledge and my basket of knowledge, we will thrive. Cleanliness, yes, that's important to me. I'll ensure we have regular clean-up. Somebody mentioned about the rubbish bags. Well, I think we need to look at a way in which we can ensure that we have some free rubbish bags in there because that's a lot of money in a year. A lot of money. It just seems to be getting more expensive. Late buses, and I think what we could do about that is to actually get the buses coming more regularly. I think for the disabled also, I hear that after 8 o'clock, there's no taxi for someone who is in a wheelchair. We've got to change that. So your life is actually dependent upon whether you've got public transport or not. Also too, I think the rangatahi, if any of you have seen that on the media recently, they have said that the transport system is not that regular. Excuse me, I'm just going to rest some things over here in a minute possibly. Community gardens, yes, I think we've got a lot of initiatives happening at the moment that could get more support. As far as it goes with our rates, I used to think that the PORIRUA City Council were the ones who were controlling the money for our rates. We've got to remember that central government, our government at the moment, they decide on how much our rates are. We only get a certain amount of plenty. There's Mike nodding. We have to dig, we have to look, how are we going to take from here to we have a motorbike centre? Why couldn't they have a place where they could go and show their skills? More social housing, yes, agree with that. Feeling unsafe, yes, sometimes I can't even walk around my area, or at present I've got to go around to a lagoon. So we need to look at that whole thing about security cameras around the place at the bus stops. We need to also just stop now. Thank you, PORIRUA.
Our next candidate for Mayor, as well as the ONEPOTO Ward, Kathleen Kilo.
Talofa, kia ora, malolele, maloni, and kia ora koutou. My name is Kathleen Kilo. I'm standing for the Mayoralty. I want to just quickly acknowledge the organisers. Thank you, and for all of you for being here tonight, for coming in this really blistering night. Okay, I'll get to my answers. The first one, I heard the CE and the KPIs, or the key performance measurements. What I would do is, as the Mayor, I would ensure that councillors workshop her CPIs so that they reflect what the city wants delivered, and then I would make sure that those KPIs are actually published so that you can see them in the annual report. Second question, what about the youth? So I believe we can be smarter, more innovative with our spending. We can actually use the council assets that we already have. We have sports fields that charge quite a lot for children's league games up in Ascot Park. We have an arena that could be similar to what they do in town at the ASB, where kids pay $1 and they come and play football. Sport, exercise, that's great for the youth, right? It's great for all of us. But if rangatahi are the key, or are a priority, we've got to, do with what we use, what we have. Also, jobs. Right now, only 25% of council contracts over 100k go to local businesses. If that number was increased, then they'd be hiring our youth, right? There'd be more jobs, better economy, we'd be thriving more. What would I do to stop people leaving PORIRUA? We've got to make it a thriving place, and that does start with affordability. It starts with us delivering on things that should already be happening, like value for money for your rates, accountability and transparency. At the moment, we've got to cut the waste. Council needs to be like households with their budgets, right? There is a toilet block in ONEPOTO that got painted inside out and got a roof patched up, 57k. I've had some builders look at that, they said that's half of that would be what they would charge at a very high end. So we've got to be value for money. All of these things add up. If we want to spend in our city, we want to make it thriving, we need to be more careful with our money. Yeah. Got it.
Cool, thank you. So those are our two candidates here tonight, this evening, who are running for the Mayoralty as well as the ward. We now move into the ONEPOTO ward. We've got 8 candidates, and we start with Young Tan.
Thank you. I'm going to stick with skipping the orders and do it my own way. So I'm a single mom. Every day is a challenging day for me because obviously I'm Chinese and even my English is my second language. And tonight for me to be here, I need to get a babysitter looking after my autistic one. So I definitely hear you. There's a lot of need with our disability group because there's simply just not enough facility to accommodate in such a high need. And that's why I say I take the initiative to design something to helping everyone to have the platform be able to utilize it and survive. So I know, for example, in my baby school, Ngāti School, which is my husband at primary school, and even in his class,
out of the 24 children, there are 5 of them got very high needs. And how the school can accommodate such high needs children? Simply they have the Wellington nursing homes needs, but just not enough facility, not enough teacher aid, and not enough people who understand how difficult things can be, not just in school environment, but also at domestic level. So that's challenging everyone from financial side and the cultural side. And that encouraged me to design my system. It's called My Local. So I don't know if you read about my brochure, but this is something I designed myself. It's pretty colorful. It's called My Local. It's a platform for people to be able to upload new skills, like our young people from the community. You can upload new skills to the platform and then to start to meeting the requirement from the community. In that way, you can become the older brother or older sister into supporting those young children and get the parents be able to make more money. So also about the accountability and transparency part, I designed another system that's called My Rights. So hopefully, if it's like later on stage and this one can be launched, then you can download to your phone to start to tracking down the council spendings. And that's the accountability and transparency everyone's longing for. I'm a business analyst, that's one of the things I do. I do analyze and put it up together and interpret into the pen language for everyone to understand. So thank you so much. I think my time is up, but all of this I think we need is the PORIRUA action together, and when we are putting the reaction together, PORIRUA can lead, and when PORIRUA actually leads, the country will rise with us. Thank you.
Linda, when she claps, it's not so much that she's impressed by what you're saying. She's trying to give you a warning around the 30 seconds. I'm sure she is impressed, but her main job is here as the homekeeper, so just look out for that clap. Our next candidate for the ONEPOTO Award, Hemi Permenis.
Kia ora, I'm Hemi. I noticed a couple of questions mentioned transparency, but I want to share a quick story first, and I might be biting myself here if I share the story and I don't get to the point, but I'll take the risk. A couple of weeks ago, I asked my wife if I could buy this surround system for our TV, and so I get there, she approves, and I get to the shop and I see a subwoofer right next to the sound system, and so I stuck that into the purchase. I won't do that on council though. So I stuck that into the purchase, and when I got home, here I am trying to convince my wife. She's looking at the receipt, seeing it a lot bigger than what I said it was going to cost. And so here I am trying to convince her, it has all these features, and look, you can watch your movies. She just wasn't buying it. She couldn't see the benefits, and she didn't know the reasons behind the increase. A lot applies similar to our rates. Every year, when they increase, our people need to know the benefits, the reasons behind the increase. And so council, especially the decisions that are made on the table, need to be transparent. The council must reflect the needs of our people. And I think there's a lot of ways and ideas behind how we can make that happen. We all care through a Facebook post. Facebook can be a very good tool for getting our people together and knowing their needs and what they need. So I look forward to hopefully working on a team to identify some problems that we have with transparency and hopefully coming up with solutions to make a council and the decision we make on council more transparent. Cheers.
Thank you, Hemi. Our next candidate for the ONEPOTO Award, Angel Dominguez.
I don't speak very fast, so I might not get through my list, but we'll give it a go. So Super City, no. I would be worried that our communities that we have here in PORIRUA would get forgotten and left out. So I would not support Super City. Emergency preparedness. That's one thing that I think we really need to think about. It's not if it's going to happen, but when it's going to happen. I have kids in my car, in my house, around my house, thinking of putting some outside of my house, so I think we need to have some workshops and initiatives so that all of our people in our community have those things for when something happens, so we are not left high and dry with no supplies. Oh gosh, where should we go? Safety. I think there was a young lady here who was talking about safety. I feel the same way. I grew up when we had neighbourhood watch groups, and they were really effective. Over the years, they've kind of slipped away. People don't do it so much anymore. We see big signs out on the street. Everybody knew if you came into our street, people were keeping an eye out for you. And I think those are things that we could, I would like to see implemented back into our communities and our society so that we can feel safe within our homes and walking around outside our homes. And it wouldn't cost that much. We just need to look after each other. Youth, I would support a youth council. When I heard Ora talk about that, I really, really would love that. I've worked with youth in my church off and on for over 25 years, and these young people, they are the ones that other young people look to. So if we have youth on a kind of a youth council, they know the problems that are happening with our youth out there. They can bring them to council and we can work with youth together to solve those issues because they know their mates better than we do. Thank you.
Thank you, Angel. Our next candidate for ONEPOTO Award, Jason Finau.
Kia ora, Tanafulava, Maloni, Talofoto, Melody, and also greetings everyone. First I just want to acknowledge everyone here for coming out tonight. My mum said she was going to come and then she saw the weather turn, so she decided not to. So that's great family support, but I've got my auntie here, so that's all right. I just want to start off by saying, look, I was born in Canterbury Hospital, raised in Canterbury, and lived on the east side all of my life. So that's the first thing you should know about me. I'm actually from here. The other thing I want to touch on is that actually I am of the Pacific community. So if you heard my introduction, I'm Samoan Whātua in Kiribati. But the thing that I've been gathering amongst all of the conversations tonight is the theme around communication. And I think all people here are all people who don't really, haven't really enjoyed what council's been doing. And I think one of the things we need to look at is ways in which we communicate. And other candidates have touched on it before, but what we actually really need to look at is the way in which we communicate in a meaningful way that reaches the community in the way that they do. I mean, here we talk about Facebook. There is Facebook, but there are other modes of communication. It's communicating what happens with our rates, where that goes, what the future looks like, what's happening in PORIRUA, what are the issues. Like my Gavin, I do agree. Her name's Alex. Alex had mentioned the Mangabra links, and there was barely any communication on there. We need to make sure that we're actually talking to the communities in the way that they digest information. Second, I want to touch on youth, and it's been a thing that's going on, and I will claim this. I am the youngest candidate running at 26, so I'm youth adjacent, just like at 25. But if you grew up in a Pacific community, you're youth all the time with your younger than even their elders. But the thing I'm keen to do is looking at a way in which we can create strategies to help with youth education and employment. PORIRUA is a city that is built on young people. The 39% of the population is, or around 39%, is under 25. So we really need to make sure that we get to make the decisions that actually include them in their futures. And I want to touch on the conversation around rates. Look, rates are going to be with us for the rest of our lives. But the thing we need to look at is actually how can we pull the levers to make sure that council serves our needs today, but also get to the future for all of our children. Because like I said, PORIRUA is a young city. We need to acknowledge that, but also care for the future for them. And lastly, I just want us all to be aspirational people for PORIRUA. I want us to be ambitious, though, with common sense. I want us to have pride in our community. And that's what we need to bring back to PORIRUA. To do those things like, all the cool events that we have, but also just bringing that connection so that we're a connected community. And so that when someone needs help, we all offer. Whether that looks like mowing someone's lawn, or going to pick up someone's groceries, or helping people pay their taxes when they're disabled. We can do that. We can have a more aspirational and ambitious PORIRUA that thrives for everyone. Thank you.
So the first of our two existing ward councillors that are here this evening, and also a candidate for the ward, Mike Duncan.
present after that. So I know about all the flooding. Haweside Avenue flood there right back in the 60s. That was a ripper. I know it all. And it's not a problem that's unique to ONEPOTO. It's across the whole city. And it's been dealt with slowly but surely. Somebody was talking about rubbish before. Oh, I didn't mention. I've got 19 grandchildren, 20 in December, and they all live, apart from 2 of them, in PORIRUA. So I've got a vested interest in the youth and the aged and middle ages as well. So that's me. Rubbish. We talk about the cost of a rubbish bag. It's a hell of a price, you're right. But do you know what? Before we even do anything with rubbish, the government takes half of that cost off us anyway. And then for the emissions from the tip, $2 million a year PORIRUA City pays to the government for that. There's nothing there for the people. It's all going to the government. So everything that happens to the council has a cost that goes to central government. And that's the big problem we face. Housing. PORIRUA City can't afford to have social housing because we can't be a CHP, which is a community housing provider. So we can't offer the cheap rents that go with that. So Mayoral took over those for us, and they were running it all for us and doing a fantastic job as well. What else? The library at Kenners Creek, somebody mentioned that. That's in a terrible state. We've moved out of that because it's an earthquake risk building, and the council has recently approved a new building to go in there in the very near future. It'll be a lovely building that will be placed near the swimming pool. So that's not far away, that's all in the planning. Footpaths, they're in a hell of a state. And I've noticed when I've been going around putting pamphlets in all your letterboxes, people park their cars right across the footpath. I'm thinking, how on earth does somebody in a wheelchair get across or get past any of these things? So a lot of us need to take responsibility for our own footpaths outside our place as well, so that people who are disabled are able to get past that, get access to it. I think I've probably covered most of the stuff. Have I nearly used 2 minutes up? Yeah, I reckon. So I think that'll cover me. But anyway, yeah, so might take you a minute. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Thanks, Mike. Our next candidate for the ONEPOTO Awards, Siobhan Samuel.
I am a mother of 6 beautiful Samoan babies that just have whānau up across the road in MΑORI, and I am a business owner. A couple of things that really stood out for me tonight were the rates. Raise your hand if you're a ratepayer in here. That is a lot of people. To put things into perspective, we have 62,000 people in PORIRUA, but there are only 20,572 ratepayers. So you can kind of see why the rates are how they are. But one thing that I think is really important is that we do continue to cut the wasteful spending. That's a common sense solution for me. And then on the flip side of that is look at other ways that we can generate income into our city, because I feel like we don't have enough money coming into our city, right, to do the things that we need to do. And then when things need to get done, it gets put back on the ratepayer. The burden sits on the ratepayer. So we need to find revenue streams that we can bring in more money that is going to have a positive impact on our community. For an example, Uber Eats, Deliver Easy. Our residents spend $117,000 a month on food delivery fees. It's a lot of money, but if the council created their own service, we would be putting that money back into our city. We would be supporting our local businesses, and we would be creating more jobs. So innovative ways to create more money, more income to bring it into the city where people are happy to spend their money, I think is important. Another example is the paid parking. That generates around $800,000 per year, but it costs us $406,000 to run it. And it has a real negative impact on the community. And I experienced that myself as a business owner in PORIRUA. I actually had to shut down my shot down in PORIRUA because of the impact that it had on us and moved out to another area. So finding positive ways that we can generate more money for our city so that the burden is not always put onto our ratepayers. I want to go quick here. Safety. No one should ever feel unsafe in their community. My plan would be more community patrols, that we spoke about earlier, supporting the neighbourhood watches, creating strong partnerships with the police, and I would support more community events and safe places where people can come together and know that the neighbours are looking out for them. The other thing that I would do, and is important to me, is the waste system, the waterway system. It's inconvenient when we have flooding, we all know that. It puts houses and people at risk. I think our first steps that we need to do is get proper drainage assessments to let us know if it's block drains, poor design or under capacity systems. And once that's clear, I would prioritise for our ONEPOTO area, Waitangirewa and Mungavin to be put at the top of the list and not at the bottom. Vote for Siobhan Samuel, number 1 for ONEPOTO Ward.
Having some more children always makes 3 minutes 4 minutes. So 2 more candidates to go for the ONEPOTO Ward. Our next candidate, Zach Payton.
Cool. All right. So there are obviously a lot of questions and a lot of issues that we've all brought to the table. I think what is really clear, one of the big themes is around transparency, and tied into transparency is accountability. Now, this is also something I noticed a lot when I went, go around door knocking, talking to people. A lot of people in the community are frustrated. They feel like that they're not being heard. They feel like, coming back to that question about the CE, for example, they feel like decisions aren't being made in the right way. So what we need to do, in my view, is that we actually need to look at doing politics differently. So as much as I want your vote, and I would very much like to be on council, I don't think we can address all of these issues. Whichever 11 people you elect, they will not be able to solve all of the issues that you want. So the answer is tied into, if we look at why so few people vote, particularly in this ward. And around the country, people feel like their leaders aren't listening to them. And part of that is because people aren't empowered enough to make decisions. So if we want to address this transparency and accountability, we need to give power to the people to help make decisions. So for example, earlier this year, I and some people in this room were part of a citizens' assembly on climate change, where we came together to talk about how the city can respond to climate change. This has worked around the world to make really important decisions, and I think if we want to do anything in the city that we can all trust and buy into, we have to look at things like Citizens Assembly for those big questions, whether we're talking about amalgamation, or whether we talk about how we choose to spend our votes. We have to make sure that everybody is involved. We used to have a village planning program, and that's no longer here. We need to bring that back as well, because the people who are best placed to make decisions about their suburbs and their communities are those who live there. Youth Council, I'm a high school teacher. I've seen the ideas and energy that young people have and can bring, and they are very impressive ideas. Having a Youth Council means that we can get people engaged, and when they're young, they can be informed citizens, and they are our future leaders. So we need to empower them straight away. And when we talk about rates, there is a process called participatory budgeting. Some cities have trialled it. That's where the public get to decide, come up with ideas and vote about how that money is spent. So really difficult to answer all of those questions, but I think if we are going to solve these problems, that it has to be together, and that power has to be shared with everybody. Was that my time up? Or that was my time up. So I'll leave it there. Thanks everybody.
Thanks, Nick. And our final candidate for the ONEPOTO Ward, current councillor and candidate Jeff Hayward.
kia ora koutou, ngā mihi nui kia koutou I puta I ki pune I tēnei pō. I had a feeling that this was going to happen, that we were going to get a whole heap of diverse questions. To save you a bit of hassle, I've written answers to nearly all of those on my website already. So if you don't have a website, access to the internet, come find me, we'll print one, we'll get it out to you so you can have a bit more detail on that. And always, you can always part-time me kandori keep the afterwards. But I do want to cover off a couple of things. The last time I was in here, in this hall, we were trying to fight the closure of Kennett Blue Hospital. Our community stepped up. Many of you were there on that night. I am sick and tired of having to deal time and time again with a government that doesn't care about people. They can all get stuck as far as I'm concerned. When it comes to healthcare, when it comes to empty lots that should be social housing, get out of the way and let CPC do the money that's already there. We're working with them to fast track that construction. We want to make sure, like was raised before, $5 a week for a rubbish bin that's single use is so 1990. Let's get rid of it. The reason why we have so much fly tipping and contamination of recycling bins is because people who are unable to afford those bags have left with no choice. Let's end that and fix the recycling at your household so it works properly. We have big issues with regards to the way that our water has been utilised for the last 40 years. And our house flooded once, almost flooded once when we first moved there over in Titahi Bay. Now the new water entity needs to have rules from day one, not after the fact. That's why that water charter is important, and I will stand and defend that every time that I'm going to get back on council. But I'm also ringing the bell. I'm ringing the bell on the issues around the landfill. It is rapidly filling. I don't think we're going to get enough consent, a long-term consent the way we currently are. So we need to divert the waste out of there. We need to make sure we support community gardens who are doing composting, like over there at Kawatea, and heaps others as well. Makarita, shout out to you guys as well. But also, we need to make it as easy as possible to get rid of the construction and demolition waste. That's coming in December, and we need to also divert that organic waste. And we can do it by not having to pay for the ETS charges, which is what Mike mentioned before. Millions of dollars being spent on that. It will pay for itself by not having to put all that money for paying a tax for something that's obnoxious views and affecting people in Tawa. I'll leave it there for now. You can come find me for any of those other part as well. Kia ora koutou.
So we've got 4 more to listen to, but let's get up and shake. Everyone stand up. Just have a stretch where you are. Say hey! Come on, guys. Say hey! We ready for the next? Hello everyone.
So our last section for this evening is the candidates running in the PORIRUA-TAWA ward for Greater Wellington Regional Council, and we'll start with the Kia Ora.
I'm proud to say I'm a ninth generation Ngāti Tō person. Born and bred in Porirua, Kennett Hospital, went to Mayoral School, Brandon Intermediate Porirua College. Some of you are very familiar faces to me. You might have known me back in the 80s as Gail. Isn't that amazing how much we grow? I want to focus on 2 things that you brought up under the many issues. What I heard in terms of the bus system was it's unsafe, it's inequitable and it's unreliable. What we're doing at Regional Council is basically we've got 4 bus companies we have to work with, and the best, what we're doing at the moment is actually doing driver education for them in terms of how they interact with people with disability, how we make sure that our bus shelters are safer. We have a relationship with Porirua City Council because there's an issue going on between us two about who's responsible for bus shelters. And what I did hear is, we've replaced lights with LED, and actually our women feel unsafe, so why are we doing that? What can we do as a regional council? I'm not sure, but it's an issue that we should pick up with PCC. On the buses, I want to say, I've been
really whakahihi thing to say. I'm not used to this, but I have to because I'm a councillor and I want you to vote for me. I am the first councillor in 46 years who's gone on to regional council in a general ward seat as a Māori woman. And that's really important. So that's my true. I've been instrumental in building a relationship with Greater Wellington Regional Council and Ngāti Toa. We now have a relationship, a partnership where we're going to build a bus depot out at Peru, and all of you, I want you to hear this, your mums and your dads. That's going to improve employment opportunities for your kids to become green and electric bus engineers and mechanics. We're going to be able to have people who are driving those buses who come from here. That's what I'd like you to focus on. The second thing that I want to, which was raised for me, rates. Yes, what you've experienced for Greater Wellington Regional Council is 18% increases over the last 9 years. I've been there for 3. This council has worked really hard to reduce rates. Next year, we're going from that average down to 9.7%. And that means a lot of sacrifice. A lot of the cost of our rates have come down to, because we're a regional council, not a local council, what we had to bloody well do for Riverlink and their bulk water services. I personally think, get out of the bulk water service system. I might be the only councillor who's saying that. Kia ora, everybody.
You can see our next candidate for Greater Wellington Regional Council, Claire Johnstone.
I'll speak to the mic, that's good. My name is Claire Johnston. I'm part of Kaitangu. I come from PORIRUA. I've been here for the last 30 years. My background is in central and local government, economic development and Māori development. I have worked in the Pacific and throughout the Pacific at the grassroots level. Your questions, I'm going to go to that rather than my speech. So let's just start with water. We are responsible for the water, bulk water, making sure you get clean water. We must be responsible guardians of the water, including our harbours. The harbours where we get our kite rock. We must make sure that that water is clean for you and safe for you to swim in, for you to eat. We have to stop siltation of this water. Flood control. We need more wetlands. We need more wetlands in this area. If you want to actually stop the flooding in your area, we have to improve the wetlands there. We have to stop building in flood-prone places. That's very hard to say. We do need to stop doing that. Throughout New Zealand we do that. We are still doing it here. We have to stop that. We have to improve our stock banks in the area. Transport. When transport doesn't work for you, your tamari, you don't go to school, you don't get to go to work, you get late, you're bad, your reputation is bad, it affects your income. We must hold those companies accountable. If you contract me to do something, I expect to do that role. They cannot keep on treating our public like this. I think the regional council has to start listening. My grandchildren tell me that they can't get on the bus because the snapper card wasn't topped up and they told to get off the bus at 12. I think that's unacceptable. That must not happen anymore. PORIRUA is home to the largest Pacific population. You're not being heard at the council table. You need to be heard. I want to talk to you just very quickly about emergency management. We are 1 moment away from disaster at any time. In my professional capacity, I know we're not prepared for emergency management. There is no common operating picture across the council. It is not connected to emergency services. We will be in trouble if we don't do something and do something quickly. Flood protection plans need to be in place. Flood hazard plans need to be there, and we do need. I can't hear you. Sorry. So I would say that we're actually in trouble if we don't do something about this. I thought my voice was loud enough, so my apologies. I'll try and let it go up further. So lastly, I just want to say, Manaki whenua, Manaki tangata. Haere, whakamoa. Care for the land, care for the people, go forward.
I feel that if I stand for waste reduction, my actions should speak louder than it should match my words. So I've got 8 policies on my Facebook page. You're welcome to come and scan this later. Full detail of my 8 policies. So, and I'm candidate running for Greater Wellington Regional Council. We have a little bit of a different mandate to the City Council. So I'm standing on 7 key priorities. My #1 policy is on smarter waste solutions. I'm standing for forward-thinking alternatives to landfill extinction, including anaerobic digestion and composting hubs. I'm also standing for glyphosate-free PORIRUA, and I want to phase out all toxic weed killers and replace them with safe, sustainable methods. I'm standing for clean water and strong oversight, strict monitoring and enforcement around wastewater treatment. I want your rates to stay local, so procurement policies that prioritise New Zealand businesses and workers. In terms of buses, we've got a great regional park on our doorstep, Battle Hill Farm Forest, and there's no bus to get there, so I'm pitching for a bus to get the public and all the tourists that visit Wellington out to Battle Hill. Beautiful place. Also in emergency hubs, emergency management, so I'm calling for, I'd like to see Starlink rapid deployment kits in these emergency hubs that we have around the community, and this will strengthen our communication resilience during disasters. And I'm also calling for honest recycling, which would require an audit and transparency so residents know where their recycling goes. So these priorities reflect what residents are asking for: environmental protection, transparency, resilience and practical solutions. Please vote #1 if you want to. Thank you.
And our last candidate for Greater Wellington Regional Council and for the evening, Phil Rhodes.
It's just a question about discussion about rates. I'm just concerned about rates increases as you are, and one of the reasons why I'm on the regional council is to become a squeaky wheel and try and keep the rates lower. But next year, about July, when the new Metro Water organisation turns up there, the regional council will be divesting its PORIRUA water supply storage plant onto Metro Water, and the district council will be selling for nothing the whole 3 waters network within the city. So hopefully the demand for cash from the district and regional council will drop to 0, and we should see a flat lining of rates. And I lived in Auckland when Watercare was set up quite a long time ago, and that's what happened to our rates. The city council rates flat line for quite a long time, but then we have kind of compensated the increase in water rates from several organisations, so that might happen. So the jury's out on what's going to happen after July next year. It's just a waiting game. A couple of other things there. There was quite a lot of mention about community facilities and getting in touch with things and developing, keeping the community intact through all sorts of various initiatives and things. And the only way to do that is to have close contact with your district and regional councillors. And I can see a great example of that happening is the bus on demand thing in Tawa, where that sort of grew out of the community's need for bus service for a lot of disabled people and people without a car and that kind of stuff there. And it was a collaboration between the council and the local community to set up that bus on demand thing, and it's been incredibly popular and successful. And there's an annual review as well, which is keeping close contact with the council and everybody as well. Just a quick note about the Super City. I'm quite in favour of it. I think you can be too, because we've learned from other cities that the scale of some things like rubbish only really work when they're very large scale and they become more economic propositions. But at the same time, you can never lose sight of the need for close community collaboration and contact, because without that, the community kind of ceases to exist. So it's super important to sort of, in the Super City conversations, to demand, community groups, boards, community, what do you call them? That's super important. Just on the other emergency management thing, we'll never be getting up for a big earthquake, because I went down to Christchurch a couple of weeks after the big one down there, and the place was a mess, and there's nothing you can do to prepare yourself for something like that. But to Wellington's credit, they've been working on a plan there for 48 hours resilience. So if there was a big earthquake, what they've been trying to do to get people prepared to exist in their house independently for 48 hours, and after that they'll be able to bring the water tankers around and sort of keep everybody going. So there are plans in place, but you have to sort of take notice of it within the Greater Wellington Emergency Management website. There's good advice there, and sort of you can take heed of that and do a little self-preparedness to prepare. So that's my comment up. I'll catch you later.
So there you go, 17 candidates, and we got through all of them. Please give them a round of applause. Now, just a couple of important things. So Khmer is one position. So you've got a number of candidates all vying for that spot. For the PARIRUA MAORI ward, there's only one seat. So a number of three candidates you see tonight are all vying for that seat. There's 5 seats in the ONEPOTO ward, and you've seen a number of candidates here this evening. I think there's about 14 or so running in the ward, and we had about 9 of them here this evening, or 10 of them here this evening, so well done to them. And Greater Wellington Council for the PORIRUA-TAWA ward, there's 2 seats there, and a number of candidates who are vying for those as well. Really important in terms of the PARIRUA MAORI award, you must be on the Mayoral roll to be able to participate in that voting, so just make sure in terms of checking which roll you're on, if you have a preference to vote in the PARIRUA MAORI ward. It is always STV, single transferable votes. We get a number of votes and have a preference in that as well. So I'm just closing out now, and I'll hand over to Margarita, who's going to close out our evening with a couple of other bits and bobs.
I'll just be quick, but I want to thank you for your patience. This has been a great night. You have been really generous. You are very generously spirited. Proud. Thank you. So Ruth Nolu has been going around collecting names, and because we've got a draw, a raffle draw, so we've got everybody's names in here, and Kenna's going to draw a name, and so I haven't got the list of what it is that we're winning. Ken, $50 voucher, you have won. Ken. Now, sometimes you can't, it's right at the bottom of the thing, so look
the North City Mall on 27th of September and the 4th of October.
Okay?
Okay, the Māori Ward is the referendum, and it's whether or not we have a Māori Ward next time round. So it's really important, because if we don't vote for it, then that's not an option. So nobody will get to be represented by a Māori Ward if they're on the Māori election roll. So look for the Māori referendum and choose. You can choose what you vote, but at least vote. Vote for the Māori Ward referendum.
Greater Wellington Regional Council, for the first time, has voted for a Māori Ward seat. So this is the opportunity for us to keep a Māori Ward seat for Regional Council. That would enable 2 of us Māori to be on the ballot.
I just wanted to add, a question was posed, one was posed, what are you going to do for Mana Whenua? I say 22 to 20, and that means vote for Māori Ward. Kia ora.
So I'm offering the mic so we can be close on by our safety.
Give it another round of applause, eh? Really good job. Really exciting. Let's get PORIRUA up on its feet and doing some really good things. Kia tau, kia tatu katoa, te atu whai, te atu ikarai, te aroa, te atua. Whiunga taitana, wairua tapu, ake. Kia ora.